Jim Duquette, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing? It's good to be
Look,
back.
I just want to show you, I'm trying to get fancy like you. I'm building different camera angles. Look at this, look at this, look at this. So we'll go with it. It's kind of weird though, as we're all learning this video game. Do I talk to you or do I talk to the camera? And I share that because I think we're all in this day and age where video is just kind of where it's going, and we're all trying to figure out how to do it right?
Yeah. Yeah. The lights are the bane of my existence. I can't get them right most of the time. So I'm seeing how I like it today.
There
Let
you
me
go.
know.
All right. I love it. Last week was Thanksgiving numbers. This week, well, before I pop the numbers up, we were talking last week about, hey, don't be shocked that the numbers dipped, right? Like
Yeah.
what did you take from that conversation?
Yeah. You got seasonality. Thanksgiving is what it is. We're spending a lot of time with family. But at the same time, we can't be blind to what the market's kind of doing right now. And but as I was thinking about it over the weekend, today, just kind of constantly in the back of my mind of, we have two ways we can operate through this year, right? We can operate out of fear and kind of hide, or we can operate and have fear drive us into what our strategy is, right? There's a lot of strategy to be had out there. There's a lot of business, and the business is showing itself. And I think those are the things we have to take away right now.
100%. And everything is cyclical. I used to have a top producer. She was $30 million a year. She'd come cry in my office every January, like freaked out about her real estate. And this is when we were having normal years, right? Like,
Yeah.
so there's always these ebbs and flows to the real estate industry. And I always talk about that focus. If you're so narrow focused on a specific moment in time, you're going to miss the opportunity.
Yeah.
You always have to broaden your focus. Here's the hardest and the most important thing in real estate. Run it like a business so your cash flow isn't dependent specifically on that next closing. But it easier said than done. And anxiety is a real thing. It's created in our industry. The good news is I think we got some really good news today. So that's should lower any anxiety that somebody might have felt.
No, absolutely. And if I can just add on to that,
Yeah, please.
I forgot who said it, but I'm sure it was Gary or somebody in one of those rooms. But they had made this mention of your pipeline should be built so vastly that if one person says no, that really has no bearing on what's going on in your business, right? That was just one person because you have a pipeline of so many others. That's why we have to get out of this mindset of operating for right now, that there's 20 people out looking for a contract on one house, that just this craziness that we are in. And we have to get back to really building out a sound pipeline.
Yeah, 100%. I used to get so frustrated because I'd start working out and not being working out, and I'd start working out and going, man, I'm not seeing the results. And everybody knows it. We live in an instant gratification world, but that's not reality. And if we're looking for instant gratification in our real estate businesses, I can maybe find it in some parts of it, but long term, that's not the way to do it, right?
Right, 100%.
All right, let's jump in. Okay, so as we predicted, we've got a bounce back from last week's inventory, from 80 active inventory last Monday to 148 this week. Jim, we're going to try to do our best to talk about prices today. And one of the things about prices is the relationship between supply and demand.
Yeah.
Am I crazy, or if I was drawing a trend line from the beginning of October, supply has gotten tighter?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So here's the question. Is it seasonality or is it market? Is it seller reluctance, or are we selling more? Truth is, I think our demand, which is the green line here, it's kind of held,
Yep.
right? So the relationship between supply and demand's actually gotten tighter. What is that? Just economics 101. When supply and demand gets tighter, what happens?
I failed the economics. I'll be honest.
You're fine.
Yeah.
When supply comes down and demand holds, it actually works to the advantage of a seller. It works in pricing, right? It says that there's less to buy and there's more buyers out there. We just came up this acute sellers market, which said we had no inventory and 100 people out there looking to buy and sell real estate. Well, 3 months ago, all of a sudden there was all this inventory, and the relationship between sellers and buyers changed, right? That was the shift. Well, right now, there's actually a little bit of a tightening going on, right? Maybe I'm crazy, but we'll see it. It's could be seasonality, but it certainly looks like it's tightening a little bit.
No, I wrote down in my notes that we're at a pivot point right now.
Okay.
Yeah, because of everything that you just said, if you look at days on the market, we don't have this real drastic drop between what's active, what's sold, what's pending. All those numbers are active under active option. All those are really starting to tighten up, which means that we're starting to find a leveling off in the market, right? And so to just what you said, there's so many things to kind of take in consideration here, right? Because we can operate off of this, if we have high demand, low supply, what does that do? But one of the things to really notice in this market is that we're still in a seller's market by the months of inventory stat, right?
Yeah.
And so everything can really change really quick. We had the most amount of listings, new listings we've ever taken on in a 3-month period during the summertime. And during that time, we had the number of people that were out there, our demand dropping down. And so we saw prices react to it, right? But months of inventory, we're still in this 3-month range. Just a little bit of a trickle, and the months of inventory are starting to level off, right? So if we have this change in demand all of a sudden, and if you start looking at the loan applications, the loan applications are doing like everything else. But as soon as we had the drop in interest rates, we had loan applications go up, right? Yep. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched if we saw loan applications go up after another rate drop next week.
Yeah. So let's say, what is the opportunity, right? So let's say I'm going back to video for a second. Let's say I go live this afternoon. I'm a real estate agent, and I say, hey, attention, people that have never bought a house before, my first time home buyers. I want to talk to you about the opportunity of right now. You've got it. What would you say?
The opportunity of right now, Brett, I would absolutely be we have to be the economist of choice, right? We have to bring a bit of education in. We have to be talking. We talked a lot about the last couple of weeks of the people that are just kind of waiting out there to see if prices just drop drastically. But I said last week that we can turn around and it's March or April and prices are starting to go up because we've had this increase in demand and interest rates have gotten lower. And so right now is kind of this great time to look at the resources all around you that you have. If you're in the power meeting, Sherry Crane had a great program out there. And if you look on that flyer, it says, if I remember right, and Sherry, I'm sorry, but anytime in the next 3 years, you can refinance that one time and at no closing cost, right? And so we have to be on calls like this. We have to be in the power meeting and really understanding what all is offered, what all we have, and what's out there that people can take advantage of, because there's a lot of really great programs out there. And I think it takes a lot of that fear and worry about what may or may not be happening in the near future. And really, when you're looking at the house, it's not the immediate. we're looking at this long-term game. And so if you can buy right now when the prices are down a bit, good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, really good for you.
Well, I mean, I'm going through this. I'm buying a car right now, and I'm almost going through the same experience. Like, I'm still paying a premium for this car that I know if I wait a year, I probably won't pay the premium. I'm also paying an interest rate that's a lot higher than I paid in the last 8 years for any vehicle. And I'm like, what the heck? And then I realize, hey, my motivation is I still want the car. And guess what? It's not forever. I can refinance my car loan when rates come down. Heck, I could probably pay it off. I'm still getting the car I want. I'm getting the right price. I'm just not getting a deal. But the truth is, what's my motivation? My motivation is I'm tired of driving the car I've been driving. I want a new car. Well, houses are no different.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm tired of renting. I'm tired of living in a house that we outgrew. I want a new house. What's the motivation? Okay, let's get you where you want to go, and we'll figure out a better scenario for you long term. But let's get you into it now, right?
Yeah, if this is the right house for you, for your family, whoever it may be, then make it yours.
Yep.
I mean, don't play this game of, well, maybe interest rates will go down a little bit more, maybe prices will go down a little bit more. No, you're in a good situation right now. You have a lot of options. So if it's for you, make it yours.
100%. All right, 48 sales in Rockwall County last 7 days. That's pretty good. I think there's probably some carryover from Thanksgiving week. 17 active option, 32 pending, looking good. Dallas County, same deal, bounce back. 932 active, 235 active option, 286 pending, and 418 closings in the last 7 days. Pretty healthy number. If you took the dip of Thanksgiving out, I still see that downward trend in inventory. So I think that's seasonality, but nonetheless, it'll help prices right now. All right, Collin County, same deal, bounce back, inventory 746, 120 active option, 210 pending, 285 in the closing category in Collin County. Pretty healthy numbers for something that we think the world's fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
All that to say, actually, I'm going to push pause. I want to talk about pricing in a minute, but before we do, I want to talk about legacy, Jim. A lot of us, legacy is a big part of our motivation in life and our whys. And I think it's pretty cool to see people leave legacies. And I think it's certainly worthy of a mention. There was an icon in our real estate industry, Mary Frances Burleson from Ebby Holiday, that passed away this week. And even though the company is not really the same company that it once was, it's now kind of a Berkshire Hathaway affiliate, I guess the best way to put it. I think she still was an icon and left a legacy. Would you add anything to that?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I spent my first 5 or 6 years over at Ebby Holiday, and it's not that I knew her from that. I mean, it's such a large company, but you know, I found myself lucky in my career path that I've been witness to a lot of great CEOs, and a lot of those CEOs have been women, Mary Frances being one of them. And you know, just taking little tidbits of what you can watch from afar. One of the things I always tell people that I always loved that she did was she called you on your birthday. Everybody in that company, she called them on their birthday and sang happy birthday to you. When you sit back and just think about that, it's pretty amazing. But just the attentiveness to their people, to the people that were under her. There was a love for the people that she worked with, even if she didn't know you. You know, when we talk about a family company, you know, she was the heart of that. And just in real estate in Dallas in general, I think she's going to be missed. I know she's going to be
100%.
missed. Yeah.
You know, she doesn't have the namesake of Ebby Holiday, but for those that don't know, Ebby Holiday wouldn't have been Ebby Holiday without this lady behind her. She was a powerful force, and I think a
Absolutely.
great example of leaving a legacy, right?
Yeah.
All right, now let's jump into pricing. So this irritates me beyond belief, Jim, and we're gonna start there. Dallas Fort Worth now a buyer's market for home. I don't agree. And here's my challenge in this whole thing. A buyer's market means we have 6 months of inventory or more. That's what the definition is. So just like the term recession definition says GDP went backwards 2 quarters in a row. Buyer's market definition says 6 months of inventory. We don't have 6 months of inventory right now. So I think this is an uneducated comment, but I'll stay open. Talk me through it, Jim.
No, I wrote down, leave it to the news to always be behind what's actually happening, right?
Yeah.
We started talking back in September how we're in a temporary buyer's market. That's how I like to put it. It's not a buyer's market, it's a temporary one, because we are low on inventory. Our demand's just unusually low because of something that happened in the marketplace, right? And so it's driven by inflation. But once those inflation numbers start changing, I think it's reasonable to start thinking that so does the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
I honestly think, I mean, I'm just going to keep on saying it. Once we hit right around that 5.5, and I think it's really in that 5.25 to 5.4 in your interest rate, and that's even probably changed because we've seen prices come down a little bit. But let's just use those numbers. I think we see a strong turn in the market the closer we get to that, right? And when I say a strong turn, we can start seeing these multiple offers and everything, not the 20 maybe, but 2, 3 certain price ranges. Absolutely. So it's hard to say that we're in this buyer's market.
You
when
mean
we can
come
just
March, there's still going to be houses with multiple offers?
Yeah, I think we're going to see that all through the summer. I mean, as long as inflation does what it's been doing the last couple months, right?
Yeah, this is what I think they're hanging their hat on. DFW, the inventory in the market in October was up 48%. Yes, we knew that. It climbed drastically in October. But in a comparatively smaller Austin market, inventory is up 70%. Okay. The median amount of time for a home to sell is 25 days in DFW. How do you call that a buyer's market? I think that's uneducated. So anyway, we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, be careful what you read. We are not in a buyer's market. It is technically, by definition, still a seller's market, which means why that's important is if it was a buyer's market, prices would drastically come down. But because it's not a buyer's market yet, I think prices are flat and holding. What do you think?
Yeah, they're absolutely starting to be. I was taking a look at that yesterday, just kind of see as we closed out November what it started looking like. And you know, if you look at the line between, what is this, August till now, in Dallas County, we actually saw prices go up a little bit in November. And where we had been in a steep decline the last, let's see, what was this, August? So the previous 2 months, maybe 3, in November for Rockwall County, it started to level off a bit. So I think you're absolutely right. We're starting to see some up and down spikes. That's really normal and part of the seasonality of real estate in Dallas County, and we're starting to see it level off in Rockwall County.
There you go. Anyway, I think prices is what everybody's creating urgency or lack of urgency around right now. We think it's interest rates, but I do think it's pricing, because I think sellers should be urgent in selling their houses now because we don't know if prices are going to hold going into next year. I think they will, but it's still some uncertainty around that. Buyers are reluctant right now because they think the prices are going to come down, and I don't think they're coming down. I think soon as the spring market gets here, you're going to see some multiple offers. You're going to see a boost in interest rates. There is no motivation to wait for a buyer. It's not gonna. You're not going to get a deal 6 months from now that you wouldn't have got today. 1 and 2, If you wait too long, you actually are losing opportunity.
Yeah.
So anyway, worthy of talking about. I thought this was interesting. This was the new home closings in 2021 ranked by builder. So in 2021, DR Horton did 7,900 closings in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Or I should say North Texas, right?
Yeah, those express homes are going up quick.
Whoa. 2,100 for Bloomfield. 2,000 for Green Brick Partners. Who are Green Brick Partners, Jim Duquette?
I have no idea. I saw that and no idea.
Here we go. Go back. Normandy, Southgate, Providence, Trophy, GHO, Jenny, Center Living, and Challenger Homes. I don't see a lot of those in our area. Do you?
No, we saw Center Living come in over in Rockwall, near Heath Crossing, in between Heath Crossing and Buffalo Creek, but you're talking about 30, 40 homes in there. But other than that, I haven't seen them on this side of the
keep an eye on.
Metroplex.
They're number 3 in the North Texas. So obviously at some point in time, and they're based out of Plano. Highland Homes, of course, they're not far behind in the number 4 position. Pulte, I saw some disgruntled information about Pulte on social media this week. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it.
Their Pulte really changed its relationship with the real estate community during the pandemic, meaning they weren't as realtor friendly, I would say.
Yeah.
And most builders have shifted back. They love us again. We've made jokes on this call about that, like, oh, they love us again. Pulte is not. They're still not paying a full fee that we believe we earn inside of a real estate transaction. And why I wanted to bring this up today is, one, I think it's important to kind of know who's who in the new construction world for sure.
Yeah.
But they're not all equal, and you need to be educated around what builders are building the most homes, what builders are small production builders, how they work with the real estate community. It's just part of our fiduciary duty to know all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and relationships are everything, right? I mean, that can make and break your new build contract really easily.
Yep. Well, there you go. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting to kind of point out American Legend had 750 new homes. And some of these down here, Grand used to build a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
So anyway, worthy of just paying attention to. Okay. I'm going to stay on new construction for a minute. Home builders avoiding mass layoffs as brokerages post big hiring month. Here's what I think is happening. Wait, am I not logged in? Where's the article? Oh, well. Hang on 2 seconds. There we go. You would think home builders with the current economic conditions would be downsizing fast. But what I'm reading inside this article, Jim, is they're holding. They're expecting the market to bounce back pretty quickly. What are you seeing?
Yeah. No, kind of the same thing. A lot of hold right now, a lot of wait and see. You know, there's a lot of new build sales going on right now, but it's also because they built so much over this past year. I saw a stat the other day that was showing the new build sales compared to permits being pulled, right? And right now the permits are being pulled way back, but they're still having a lot of sales because they're selling off inventory and everything else. I think once we hit the summertime, we're going to start seeing some more specs hit the ground, summertime, April going into May. But I think it's going to help level off our supply, and that's going to help the resale market out. And then they'll be right back around to hit the tail end of everything that's kind of going on.
I'm seeing this as good news because I think what most economists are saying that I'm hearing is any kind of economic disruption we've got 9 to 12 months ahead, but then it should level off and go back to pretty normal. I actually think I've heard some people say by spring, summer, we should be back to a pretty normal feeling industry, but everybody's got a prediction, right?
Yeah,
But
it wouldn't surprise me if you had a hybrid of the two, right? You had a really nice spring, summer, and then you hit the fall, and we kind of have some
low.
yeah.
All right. I find this very interesting, Jim. So
Absolutely.
Open Door, the big company in the space of iBuying lost $1 billion in Q3. And when you lose $1 billion in Q3, stockholders are going to hold you accountable. And they removed the CEO of Open Door and handed the reins to their CFO, Carrie Wheeler, and the president's resigned. So basically what the stockholders are saying is, hey, we don't like the direction of the company. We need to shift to a more fiscally responsible model. What do you make of it? You're smiling over there because I'm smiling as well, but keep going.
No, because I started reading what that plan was, and it's a new plan called exclusives, and you need to know what they're doing. So when you look into it, basically what their exclusive program is, and I think they're kind of skating on the clear cooperation policy on some thin ice, but it's basically their own little MLS system. It is your exclusive way to get a home before it goes onto the MLS. And so they list it onto this exclusive, and you can log on there before it hits the MLS, and you can put a hold on it. So you're the only one that can get that, kind of like a Carvana, right? You can put a hold on that car. And so but the caveat to it, and I kind of laughed about it, was, all right, so people are doing this probably so they can, save the commission, is what you keep hearing. Their fee on this is 5%. Like, they're basically just creating their own little MLS, is what they're trying to do ultimately.
But here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
You have to have the inventory to make it work,
Right.
and you have to have a lion's share of the inventory. 10% at one point Open Door had, but if they've stopped buying, they're not going to have 10% of the inventory. So it's not going to be that exciting. It's like the reason Zillow is so powerful is they have all the houses on there.
Right.
Right. Imagine Zillow with like 5% of the houses on there. It'd be like having a for sale by owner website. It's not going to be that powerful. Right.
And even if they're holding, let's say 17,000 homes on hand right now, which is insane to think about, they can't put them all out on their website because they can only keep them on there 2 weeks, and then they're going to flood the market, which doesn't help them. It doesn't help anybody. And they're going to take an even bigger loss. That would be the nail in the coffin. So they've got to just strategically put a few out here and there. And you're right. It's not going to work well for them because there's not enough there, right?
Yeah. Do I think Open Door is smart? Yes. Do I think they're disruptive? Yes.
Yeah.
I think they will find their way back to iBuying pretty quickly. But it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you got to keep an eye on what all your competition is doing, including them, and especially since like you said, they're a disruptor. And you need to know how to explain it to your sellers and buyers. Yep.
So, Jim, me and my new camera angle, wish you a happy Monday, sir.
Hey, you too. Have a good one.
Have a good one.